Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I believe empowerment through spirituality and balanced practices is super important. And we are here building community, having conversations about interesting spiritual topics and sharing stories. And in this series this week, I am coming on to talk about channeling. So this is day two. um, so with that, if this is your first time joining, my name is Dahlia Rose. I've been working spiritually as a healer, facilitator, support guide since, 2011. And I'm here to offer some insights and experiences with that and to really inspire. I don't think I've said this before, but if I have, I'm glad. If I haven't, I'm sorry. It's important to me that when you guys view these videos, when you see me come on here, that you perceive this from a place of, wow, I can do that too. We are all gifted. We all have unique qualities about us that have come from trials, tribulations, experience, or you're born into a family with gifts and abilities. But at the end of the day, as you go on to see me or others come on to share their stories and their insights, it's important for you so much to feel empowered to say, well, if it's possible for them, that means that there is a way that this can manifest for me too. And that includes not just when people talk about traditional manifestations, physical manifestations, either financially or love or what have you, but spiritual gifts as well, just as much as I may be able to, hear my spirit guides and be able to see different things in the way of someone's energy field. You all can do that too. And through these discussions, maybe you'll go on to explore that. And that is my sincerest hope. So, with that, on the topic of channeling. So, just to recap a little, I brought up channeling as a way to connect with and bring through information that seems like it's outside of you. Usually, people make these connections to ethereal beings or extraterrestrials, or through things like healing work. So you can channel Reiki energy. If you've heard of Reiki as an energy healing modality, you can channel objects through the process of psychometry. And I was working with a group of friends this evening in my accountability group. And at the end, sometimes we'll pull cards, not every single time. And I thought it would be awesome to share kind of what happened for me in that process and to share this as these cards as a channeling tool. So you can work with oracle cards, tarot cards, or even a deck of playing cards. I've used, what are they called? Anatomy flashcards to do some medical intuition work. And so there's a lot of different opportunities with different tools. And I thought I'd talk about those as well. And lastly, I want to guide you guys through a little bit of what happens for me just before channeling can begin. And that's because I think there are times that we forget the importance of our physical body as part of our spiritual process. And so, first and foremost, tools. So I am inviting you to my evening and my story. um, there are many tools out there. I mentioned the cards first, and then also you'll often see me with crystals around my neck, not all the time, but most of the time. And these can be tools to support channeling as well. I will tell you, most of the time for me, because of the work that I do professionally with spirituality and psychic work, I do not wear psychic crystals all the time. That would be switched on for me way too much. But it can be an enhancement tool if one is having a down day, an off day, or what have you. So there are crystals that enhance that kind of work and allow you to channel. And what those crystals are doing as spiritual tools that support channeling is that they are doing things on multiple levels. So there's one aspect where the crystals are helping you heal through blocks and obstacles to your channeling process. And then there is another aspect where the crystals may be widening your energy field so that you can hold more light, more information, and things of that nature. And so, with that, that is kind of how it's like that's like the shorthand, very brief version of how crystals can support channeling work. And then there are other tools out there. Like I said, one of my favorites is um, working with cards and that could be tarot cards and oracle cards. So the deck that I had my hands on this evening for my little mini story here was Spirit of the Animals oracle deck. I was commenting that I at first glance I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's a cute deck, and dragonflies are in my spiritual wheelhouse. I love that. But I didn't really get a chance to look at the artwork of the deck. And as soon as I saw the image, there's a dragon in that deck, very connected to those. And as soon as I saw the image, I fell in love and had to have it. And so the evening is going on with my group and my friends, and we are talking about energies to expect for the week. And so with that, I grabbed my deck and I started shuffling. Now, with channeling, much like with working with cards, you want to have some sense of direction, and that's going to come through intention or it's going to come through a question. And without that sense of direction, you can still gain answers, you can still gain insight, but it is just a little bit, I want to say it's a little murkier of a process. And so the question was what can we expect for the energy of this week? And I want to say this kind of in parentheses: working with cards is not automatically a channeling process. It's divination work for sure, but you may be gaining more inferences from the cards rather than pulling down divine information in the beginning stages of working with cards. And that's normal, and that's neither here nor there in terms of better or best, but it's a note. If you want to become really skilled at interpretations, working with cards is amazing. And then there is almost like a little switch that flips on that allows you to not only have the interpretation of the cards, but to also bring in divine wisdom that coalesces with the information from the cards to make a beautiful message. So we're going through this process, and there's three of us, and I get through there too. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pull one for me for this week because I haven't done it yet. I usually do that on Sunday or Monday. And I ended up with giraffes. And so just to share with you, because camera wise, I can hold it up for so long, you could read it, but I'll kind of dive in here with you. Giraffes are the visionary card. It says, rise above earthly matters, glide through life with grace. You are able to see the right path, stand tall in your self-worth, and love with a big heart. Now, in the beginning stages of my card interpretation journey, I would have taken that, I would have been inspired by it, and that's enough. That's enough. Nowadays, this inspiration is an opportunity to open up my heart and then allow the wisdom of divine guidance to come through and be channeled through me. And I see, so this is a great place to kind of step into what my process looks like for these cards. And so with that, whenever I'm channeling using cards as a tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the intention, ask the try to get as detailed as possible. What do I need to know for the week is kind of broad, and could be more detailed, but that's as detailed as we got this time. And then it becomes a fully embodied process. And what I mean by that is I'm shuffling with the intention in mind, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I am feeling the cards as they run through my fingertips. I am feeling into the question. How does the question make me feel in this moment? Am I getting sort of any physical sensations as I'm shuffling? And when I say physical sensations, I mean, is there space for fear around this question? Because that's a message in and of itself. It may be challenging, more challenging to get answers with fear in place. Or the cards may respond to the energy of fear that I'm putting forward as I shuffle and ask. And so there's information coming up in my body to tell me, even down to where I feel it in my body. That's kind of the embodiment process, getting so becoming so aware and connected to self first so that I can gain this information. And then if I need to divine further with the cards, I also have a way of clearing things out. So I'm figuring out what's going on in my body. I'm having my hands on the card and going through the texture of those. And then I'm also trying to see if there are any colors that stand out to me in my mind. I may have, this is the beauty of ADHD. I may have images or memories or people flash through my mind at that time, as part of this sequence of trying to gain information. And all of that is compressed in like this psychic sandwich in order to release the information that I'm given. Now, one of the cool things again about adding embodiment into this process, and something that was channeled, gifted to me in meditation, was the need to take these messages that we receive, channeled through cards or otherwise, and to place them into our bodies. So let's go back to my example real quick of feeling fear around a question, but still wanting the answer to it. If I was to divine an answer using cards, I would then want to take that card, that information, that energy, and place it where I felt the fear in my body and apply pressure. So some cards are organized and created for the purpose of using in healing work. Others are not. But the card itself becomes a channel when they are. So let's say the creator of this deck decided that she was going to imbue these cards with the energy of each animal that represents an image. So this card, for example's sake, would have the energy of the giraffe. And the information that's coming through, I would want to use. And let's say I had some fear around it, and I was feeling that fear in my lower back. When I obtained the answers I was looking for, or the divine guidance that I was to receive, I could then take the card, place it on my back, and keep considering the information received, and then visualize, feel, push that energy and information down into my lower back. And what I would experience is a healing. And essentially that, for me, sometimes is an entire channeling process in and of itself. It's allowing that wisdom to not only come through my mind, come through my mouth if I need to share it, but also placing it in the body, in the cellular structures through intention. And so that happened today with this particular card. So when I asked about the week, and I've already read you the description, and it's talking about being visionary, it occurred to me that I was limiting my own vision. And in the channeled vision that I received, it was me always reaching for birds. Birds are very prevalent in my shamanic process when I'm trying to gain vision, wisdom, or insight from above or to see an entire situation. So I'm always like, okay, the eagle, the hawk, the condor. It's always going to be a bird. And in this moment, and it might seem childlike to be so excited about this new information and this new wisdom gained, but it felt important to receive this card because there's recognition here that giraffes have these long necks, and whenever they look at a situation, it is from above. And yet, because of their build and their structure, they are grounded. Their feet are still on the ground. There's no need for them to lift off the ground and take a look from a higher perspective. With birds, you can what will happen is that they will fly above the situation, look around, but the moment that they land once more, they're back in a vulnerable place. A bird's strength is always in the sky, but it loses that strength when it puts itself in a vulnerable position. Giraffes don't have that break and invulnerability that birds do. Giraffes have their own vulnerability, but with their feet firmly planted on the ground and their ability to see overhead, it's almost like they can maintain a connection that is balanced rather than only being able to see certain things unfold, having to circle back around. I'm getting very detailed about animals because I love them. But when I consider channeling or bringing through the energy of a giraffe in my visionary process, when I ask that animal to help me see what I have not been able to see when I'm in meditation, I now feel balanced and like I have a new path forward in looking at my work. And admittedly, this happened tonight. I haven't had a chance to experiment with it. I hope to share that with you guys later on. But it's very exciting to have something new to work with in this moment. And the steps of this channeling process were to set the intention, ask the question, feel my body, feel the cards, continue to ask the question while shuffling, and then see what's revealed. Allow other inspirations to come forward from the revealing, and then to draw that into my body. And I can tell you, instantly my heart opened up. And that's what happens with channeling. Oftentimes, even if the message is not the most positive, because I can tell you from experience, if you're watching my YouTube channel, you'll see that I channeled some beings. Actually, is it on there? I'll add it to the channel if it's not. I had an experience with some beings from Regulus, the star system, and they did not have positive information to share at all. And even walking away from that, this was actually 2019 that I did that. Walking away from that experience where they didn't have positive information, it wasn't negative, but it was a lot of warnings. And walking away from that experience, it was more even keeled than it was excitement, because it wasn't necessarily an inspirational message, with it being a cautionary tale. In the same sentence, though, I didn't feel a drop in my energy. I didn't feel negative. I didn't feel attacked. I didn't feel used or misused. And so this is the space where I can say, it wasn't a negative being. And even sometimes the messages that you need to hear, even though they're not the most positive when they're channeled, it's almost as if you feel a sense of understanding. That's really where it comes from. Any time that you've firmly understood a topic or something that someone said, access that memory and you'll understand what it means to have a channeled message shared with you. And then you can add on things like excitement or concern. But at its baseline, it's a feeling of understanding. Um, Going back into the crystal space, I forgot to share it. I wanted to. So, two of these necklaces came from an amazing friend. And gosh, I mean, every time that I've ever doubted or felt down, she has showed up in my life to just remind me of who I am and what I've supported her with, and how she believes in my work. And so she again just dropped out of heaven for a moment because I do believe she's an earth angel. And she bestowed these Christmas gifts on me. And I think actually everything that I'm wearing except this is a Christmas gift. So um, that is to say, all of these gifts have a energetic signature to them. And in the process of talking about channeling, again, we can channel objects. So not only do these crystals have their own energetic signature to them, there's rose quartz here, which is all about love and processing unprocessed emotions. But we have carnelian and citrine, which is all about making decisions and energizing processes. And then I have my Aztec opal, which is very protective and also opens the path for visions. But more important than what these crystals do is the channeled, at least to me, the channeled information that they bring through, the love that they were purchased with or created with is so important to me. I'm not one to just buy something for the sake of something, but because there is a connection, there's a meaning behind it, and gifts that I receive from people that they're like, I just saw this and I knew it was for you, or it felt like it was connected to you. They're channeling in that moment, they're receiving higher guidance, and that higher guidance is calling them to bestow a gift or, purchase for themselves or what have you. And that is now permanently encrypted on these things, along with whatever I imbue them with my own energy signature. And so when we talk about psychometry, these are the kind of things that can come through in channeling with psychometry, channeling with touching objects. And so, 50 years from now, somebody's going to go through my jewelry, pick this up, and burst into tears because of how much love it was created with and bought for. And so, you know, that is also the power of channeled work, is that you can move into a feeling, move into a space of love and bestow something on a person or lay your hands on them and send that energy through, pushing it visually with your minds, doing it with intention, or doing it from a distance. And distance work, I probably do another show on that, but you always want to have the person's permission, or to say for their highest and best good, so that they can reject it if they want to. We don't get into people's energy fields without their permission. That's just, it's no go, and a longer video for that. But um, you know, realize that channeling, I think that's the point of this, is a full body experience. And you can enhance that with tools. You can use tools to connect with a specific kind of energy. And then it's about bringing it through your whole body. And the process is mental, emotional, and physical in nature, in a way that leads to deeper understanding. And that understanding leads to wisdom rather than just knowledge. Having knowledge of something isn't very fruitful until it's applied, which is what makes it wisdom. Now, one of the last things that I kind of wanted to cover, aside from using tools and bringing your body along for the ride, is something that comes up with people, and it came up in the beginning of my journey too, which is to say, um, the desire for consistency with channeling. It does require specific questions. And I think that there is like sometimes a concern that the question won't be answered, or I've also seen where the question is like, well, my question is, it's not like a worldly deep question. And so maybe I shouldn't ask these higher beings or the universe or source or whoever. I shouldn't be asking my spirit guides about, this question that seems so mundane and so normal. It's important to be specific with your questions no matter what, no matter the concern. Remember, I said you can access wherever that obstacle is in your body, whether it's fear, doubt, shame, guilt, access that feeling. And then when you approach the question, you go to have it received, allow the channeling to come through visually, mentally, in your inner knowing, or you can hear something. And the more detailed and specific you can get, the stronger the answer will be. There's a process that takes place with channeling, and you may have noticed it in my description of how channeling with my card began to unfold. Everything spiritual, and I would say everything physical as well, or emotional, it's a buildup. You're building energy. And if you are trying to connect with divine information, you're still building energy, and having detailed questions builds a really strong cord, really strong connection with whatever it is that you're trying to connect with. And I would stress the importance of knowing what you're connecting with and who you're connecting with. So important. And so not only do you have to have a detailed question, but you have to have a detailed person, individual energy that you are accessing when you're channeling. You don't want to just jump into the spirit realm and say, hey, tell me something, because that can put you in a lot of awkward spaces, a lot of dangerous spaces, and it leaves your energy to be used, open to be used. I mean, imagine, if you will, being in a public square and opening yourself up to whoever walks by. So you have a sign on yourself that just says, take what you need, but tell me something before you go. It's not going to feel good. In fact, there was I want to say I think she was Russian artist. Maybe not Russian. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be offensive, and I should have looked it up, but I'm just remembering her now. There was an artist in not the United States, somewhere over in the eastern part of the world, where she left tools on a table, and she wore a sign standing behind the table and said, you can pick up any of these tools and you can use them on her, or you can touch her, or you can, whatever you want to do to her, you can do. And I think there's a video of this out there somewhere. And at first, as people approached her, they were a little apprehensive, and most people were kind. And this social experiment in the form of art continued, and the longer she stood there and the more people felt emboldened to do something to her, the more it escalated into some very dangerous places. And the same thing happens energetically. So you put yourself out there just as this woman did. And at first it's innocent, it's playing. And then you get into maybe a false sense of security, like, oh, it's all, as they say, love and light out here. Only to realize that you weren't paying attention. And much like in this experiment, so just to finish the story, the social experiment that this artist was conducting had to end. She did have security on standby in case things got rough, and good thing, because it had to end, because one of the tools that she had on the table available for people to pick up was a gun. I don't recall if it was loaded or not, but somebody picked it up and pointed it at her, and that's where the experiment ended, I believe. And so the threat is there spiritually as well. If you are putting yourself into a spiritual energy and you're saying, I don't care what comes, then whatever will come. But there's something so magnificent, something so powerful of saying, this is my energy field. I'm in charge of it. I get to say who can come close to me and who cannot. And going on to say, okay, I want to speak specifically to this Grecian god. I want to speak. I want to speak to my ancestors, and not saying that you'll necessarily channel them in your body, because that's, again, we're going to go through that. But to stand in front of them, receive information, and then channel it through, give the information to family members that need it, or be able to create a salve or a tonic that your ancestors used to cure something, only to bring it to your family now because it was lost. To be that specific, it empowers you, it strengthens your field, it gives stronger connection to your question, and it gives you it is more likely that you will receive a better answer than, something generalized that has to be interpreted. So, all in all, to say, tools are great to use. Crystals, cards, um, sacred objects, feathers, trying to think of other, I mean, even family heirlooms if you're trying to get information. Um, or just, the most special rock you had from your childhood and you need information about a wounded part of yourself, so you need to channel that information. You can even go with a special pen to do automatic writing. So you create or order a pen and you set the intention with this pen that you will only use it for channeling, automatic writing. And so then whenever you sit down with this pen in your notebook, your spirit guides know, oh, this person, this human is serious about the information they want. And so now that pen becomes sacred and it becomes a tool for channeling. There's no limit to what you can use. And then, of course, there are some things that will enhance your channeling, and then other things that will just add to it. Or not add to it, but be like a bridge for you to work with channeling. So you working with tools is amazing as far as channeled work is concerned. Protection tools are always a beautiful add. And setting the intention, being specific about your process, bringing your body into the experience. If your body is not joining you for the ride, it will be an imbalanced experience and it may not be consistent. If you're stressed, it's not a good time to channel. So don't force your body, but work with it. And you're going to start to build stronger connections with your spirit guides, with the universe, with source, with whoever you're trying to reach, Quetzalcoatl, whoever you want to talk to. All of that to say, channeling is a beautiful practice and there's a lot of avenues for it. You have those connections, I have those connections, and we're building them together. It's an energetic buildup. I'd love, again, to hear any stories you all have about how you might have experienced channeling physically, mentally. You know, I'm stammering because I was about to say emotionally, and I was like, "Ooh, emotional channeling. That sounds exhausting," but it happens. And if it's happened to you, I'd love to hear about it so we can talk about it. But thank you for taking the time to spend with me and share with me today. This series is going to continue, so I will see you next time. And in the meantime, happy healing, everybody. Have a great night.